Hey, what's up? This is Gary from Raz Rentals, and welcome to my review of the semi-brand new Super7 Thundercats Ultimates Jackal-man. Right now, it's March 2021, and we're kind of right in the middle of Super7's pre-order for their awesome Thundercats Ultimates Thunder Tank, right? So I figured now is a good time to do some reviews on Wave 1. First, I reviewed Lion-O, and I talked a little bit about the line and some other stuff, and I also reviewed Panthro, and with Lion-O and Panthro, I've been going over all their accessories in excessive detail and comparing them with screenshots and explaining where they come from in the show. And I'm going to do that with Jackal-man too. I'm going to tell you where all the guns come from and everything else. So, let's get started. Jackal-man and all the other Wave 1 Thundercat figures were put up for pre-order way back in August of 2019, and we didn't get them until September of 2020. So it took over a year for you to, get this guy and the other guys. When Jackal-man came out, some of the items were miscolored, such as this area underneath his neck and the three guns. They weren't colored the way that Super7 had advertised. So Super7 decided to release a booster pack. And, since I waited to do my review, luckily I get to do the Jackal-man figure, and I get to include all the extra pieces that come with the booster pack. So we'll cover it all. And we'll compare the original guns and the booster pack guns to stills from the cartoon and see how they look. Just like Masters of the Universe Classics and the original Thundercats Classic figures before them, Jackal-man here came in this cool brown mailer so that you could protect the awesome package inside. Well, Thundercats Classic was a little different, but you know what I mean. Inside your brown mailer is this awesome packaging. Now you can see on the front here, you got a slipcover, and right in the middle there, you have Mumm-Ra's two-headed snake logo or dueling snake logo. It's pretty cool. The good guys have the Thundercats emblem, and the bad guys have the Mumm-Ra emblem. On the back, it just says Thundercats. Very nice. Alright. On the inside here, you can see that it has a pretty big window here where you can see Jackal-man and all of his items if he was still in it. In the background, you can see the white splatter from the Thundercats toys from way back in the 80s. So on the back here, it has this awesome painting of the Thundercats from way back when, and it has a little bio for Jackal-man. It says, "Loyalty is very important to Jackal-man. Unfortunately, he's only loyal to himself. As a member of the Mutants, enemies of the Thundercats, Jackal-man leads the Jackal-men, a group of humanoid jackals from the planet Plundar. Jackal-man's real name is Kaynar, and regardless of his name, there's no question that this scavenger is a conniving coward whose intentions can never be trusted, except when it comes to him using any means possible to destroy the Thundercats." So, the name Kaynar is not Jackal-man's real name in the original cartoon. They're just called, Jackal-man and Monkey-in and Slythe and stuff. They didn't have real names. They don't even have different names between... they don't even mention any other names of any of the other Jackal-men or any of that kind of stuff. Kaynar comes from the later Thundercats cartoon, the second Thundercats cartoon that's more of an anime, where Jackal-man kind of has more of the proportions of this toy, but I'll get into that a little more. He's very big compared to the Thundercats, and in that cartoon, his real name is Kaynar. So here's Jackal-man out of the package with all of his accessories, and I think this guy's pretty cool. Obviously, like I said, he doesn't have the same proportions that he does in the cartoon. It's different. It's kind of like they mixed the old Thundercats cartoon with the second Thundercats cartoon, but I'll explain that a little bit once I get to Sculpt. So Jackal-man is a sneaky, dirty, rotten scoundrel. The other mutants don't really trust him because he'd probably sell them out in a second. He's also a bit of a coward. My favorite Thundercats episode that sort of centers around Jackal-man is The Mountain. The Mountain is a Season 1 episode. In that episode, Lion-O is mountain climbing when the mutants attack him with some very awesome Thundranium guns. Lion-O recognizes that he needs some help, so he calls the other Thundercats. Panthro and Tiger show up, but during the middle of the battle, the mutants accidentally blast the side of the mountain way too many times, and it causes an avalanche. So Panthro Tigra, Slythe, the monkey, and all try to hide in a cave, but they're accidentally caved in and they can't get out. And, as their air is running out, they have to try to work together to get out, but unfortunately, they are unsuccessful. Meanwhile, outside of the cave, Jackal-man and Lion-O are fighting over the Sword of Omens. And, Lion-O wants to save his friends, but Jackal-man just wants the sword. And, as they fight, Jackal-man is swept away in water, and he calls for Lion-O to help him. So Lion-O goes and helps him, but that was a stupid mistake because then Jackal-man just immediately starts attacking him, trying to get the sword. And, they fall over a waterfall. Lion-O is left unconscious, and Jackal-man steals the sword. So Lion-O wakes up and he has to go get the sword back. And eventually when he does meet up with Jackal-man, he scolds him and he's like, I saved your life, Jackal-man. Which Jackal-man answers, never do a favor for another favor. And it's just such a cold-blooded thing to say to somebody who tried to do something nice for him. So it really shows that, Jackal-man is just this evil, conniving, monstrous Jackal-man. What are you going to call him? He's a Jackal-man. He's deceptive, he laughs all the time, and he's pure evil. And, it's an awesome episode. It's very tense. Yeah, you can really feel the weight of the Thundercats as they're, suffocating in the cave. And, it's just a very good, character study of Jackal-man. Like I said, I really like that episode. It's definitely in my top 10 best episodes of the Thundercats. And you know what else is really awesome about it is that, Larry Kenney plays the voice of both Jackal-man and Lion-O. So a lot of the bickering and fighting is just Larry Kenney fighting with himself. And that's pretty awesome. It really shows how good of a voice actor he is because Jackal-man and Lion-O sound nothing alike. There's also another episode called Jackal-man's Rebellion, which is very, Jackal-man-centric, of course. And in that episode, Jackal-man, he betrays the mutants, and he teams up with the Driller and the Mole Master, and they try to take on everybody else. And, that one's pretty good too, but like I said, in my opinion, I like the Mountain a lot more. So like I said before, I think that Jackal-man is the most controversial out of all the Wave 1 Thundercats action figures because his scale is so different from what it is in the original cartoon. In my opinion, I think that they were probably trying to go for a mix of the original cartoon and the anime Thundercats cartoon. You can see here that in the anime version, when he's supposed to be Kaynar, he's really tall and lanky and just huge compared to the Thundercats. But if you look at him in the original cartoon, he, I think, is supposed to be a lot smaller than Lion-O. And if you actually go and you look at the model sheets on Thundercats.org, you can actually see that he is supposed to be somewhat smaller than Lion-O. But also with that cartoon, sometimes it does change, and Jackal-man will appear really tall and very lanky and stuff like that. But it just depends on which episode you're watching. But in general, he is a lot smaller than Lion-O. So I think most people would have preferred him be smaller than Lion-O. I think in a positive way, it depends on how you look at it. I do think that they probably should have made him smaller in scale. But I think that maybe they were trying to make him more imposing and threatening looking, and in that way he succeeds because he is a little bit taller than Lion-O and Panthro, especially when you have the yelling face on him. He looks monstrous next to Lion-O, but I don't know. Like I said, it's just a mix. It depends on what you're going for with this. In general, he's not this buff or muscular in the original cartoon either. He's more, I don't know, skinny, I guess. And, sometimes too, his neck will appear more like canine, where it kind of sticks, it's longer, and the head sticks out further off the body. And then other times you'll see episodes where the head is just kind of stuck up like this. I was hoping that maybe you could try to do that with his neck, try to angle him down to try to make him appear more, I guess canine or whatever he's supposed to be. But you can't do that. The other big controversy with Jackal-man is the shins. Unfortunately, they're flipped. They're on the wrong side of the legs. So I'm pretty sure, I know for sure that from the knee down to here, that's on the wrong side. But now, I didn't think about it before, but now that I'm looking at it, this part appears to be on the wrong side too. And that's such a bummer because it kind of does hinder the way he stands a little bit because it looks a little unnatural because the bottom of the leg kind of bends out in the wrong direction. And, this was a problem with the Maddie figure. The Maddie figure had the same exact problem. And to me, one of the big letdowns was that, Brian Flynn was aware of this. I think at maybe one of the conventions or one of the interviews with Pixel Dan or something, when they were talking, he said, yes, and we will flip the shins, or like Jackal-man will have the shins on the right side, something like that. So, unfortunately, they didn't fix the problem. And why didn't they fix the calves? Well, I think it's because, they stayed with the same factory that made the Thundercats Classics figures when, it was owned by Mattel. They wanted to keep that good quality that Mattel had with their Masters of the Universe Classics and Thundercats Classics figures, and unfortunately, they inherited the same problems, And from what I understand, there are some things Brian has said that they told the factory to fix, and the factory just ignored them. So I think it was just one of those things where they probably told the factory, like, look, switch those, the bottom half of the legs on Jackal-man, and the factory was like, yeah, okay, arms look good, talk to you later. They just ignored them. So now that we got the controversies out of the way, I'll say this. I do like the sculpt of this thing, even though, like I said, he is not the correct proportion, but I still think it's a well-done action figure. The arms pretty much look exactly the same as like He-Man or Thundercats, except they have a nice texture on them to make them appear like they're hairy. Now, I'm not sure, since he is taller than Lion-O, I think that there's two things that are different here. I think that it's possible that he has I don't know. It's difficult to say. If I can't tell if like my mind is just like kind of playing a trick on me, but it kind of looks as though the upper torso is a little skinnier and maybe a little higher than Lion-O's, but I can't tell for certain. The thighs look pretty much exactly the same, but you can definitely see here from the knee down to the bottom of the foot, that is a lot longer. So maybe I'm just making up the torso thing in my head, and most of the height just comes from this part of the leg right here. So if you look at the armor on Jackal-man, he's got the cool little shoulder pad. He's got the strap that goes across with the red little circle in the middle. You got the cool cheetah print armor on his arm. You got this little wristband over here. You have the green fur loincloth or whatever you call it, and the black belt. And if you look at him in the cartoon, he's got all that. So they copied that. And then if you look at the bottom of the legs, he's got those little brown, what would you even call them? Footless socks. No, I don't. So he does have that in the cartoon too. So the articulation on this guy works pretty well. Unfortunately, like I said, I would have kind of liked it if you would have been able to, if there was another point of articulation here where you could kind of bend the neck down a little bit, or even if you had a better ball joint up here to kind of like hunch him over and straighten his head out a little bit, I think that would have worked well, but I don't know how they could have done that. So in the head, you have a ball joint. In the shoulder, you have rotation, and you have a hinge, so you can move that all over the place. You got a cut in the bicep, so you can swivel the bicep. You have single jointed elbows, which is cool. I'm a fan of single jointed elbows. Although, I don't know. The muscles look very nice on it, so I wouldn't want to cut up into the muscles anymore, but it might be a little nicer if the arm could just bend just a little tiny bit more, not much, just a little bit to try to give you more of a 90-degree angle. In the wrist, you have a swivel, and you got a little hinge there, and you have an ab crunch. You got a twist in the waist, and you they're not really ball joints, but you have a hinge so you can move out this direction, and you can rotate it forward and back. And you have a a cut on the top of the hip here, so you can rotate that all the way around. It's very, you know, one of the nice things about these Super 7 toys too is they're not too tight, and in general, well, we'll get there. But the knees are good. They're single jointed knees. They bend well. This is the only problem. The ankles are a little loose, which is unfortunate. They do have ankle rockers, and you have a hinge. So you can get them to stand, but sometimes the ankles are a little weak, and you kind of have to play around with it a little bit. Oh yeah, before I forget, Jackal-man also has a boot cut here, so you can twist this if you need to. In general, the paint on this guy looks very clean and nice. You know, I think it's well done. However, the hair on top of this part, the you know, the shoulder and neck piece, doesn't necessarily match the orange of the arm and the body. It's a little off. And I think maybe the booster pack version of this is a little better, but we'll see it when we get to it. And like I said, the hair around the face looks pretty good, but unfortunately on the extra head, I don't know if this is something that's common with all of them, but you see how he has, like, you have yellow hair around the whole outside of that. Here they left this orange. So that side doesn't, but this side you do. Okay, so let's talk about the extra booster pack piece. And before we do that, let's talk about the mane or whatever. So this part right here in his neck should be painted just the lighter color that's on his face and on his chest. And fortunately, when they originally released these, you know, it's just all solid orange. So that was one of the items included in the booster pack, was a new version of this shoulder piece, so that you could have one that's painted. So here's your Jackal-man booster pack pieces. Now there are 2 holes here, and those 2 parts belong to Panthro. So check out my Panthro review, and you can see what they are. So you got this, you know, the extra shoulder pad, extra shoulder piece here. And like I said, that orange matches the arms a lot more. Like, this looks like it's painted orange. This looks like it's cast in this color. So it looks a lot better, and that's good. Now, this kind of does, like, give you options now with how you want to display your Jackal-man, because in the cartoon, the Thundercats, there are many Jackal-men, and they pretty much all look like Jackal-man, but, you know. So if you wanted to, you could leave him like this, and he could be, you know, you could have your Maddie one be the main Jackal-man, or you could flip the shoulders pads off of this thing and, you know, have him be your main Jackal-man. I don't know. The point is that Jackal-man is also kind of like an army builder figure, because there are multiple Jackal-mans. You know, what they need to do is they need to make, like, they need to make out all the Scythe people. That'd be great. Because, you know, all the Jackal-mans and the Monkeys all look the same, but Scythe's people, they look completely, like, they look like him, but they don't look like him, you know. And they're pretty cool. So there he is with the new piece on there. And, you know, it does look really cool. However, you know what also is an option? Is that, you take that head off, right? You pop the shoulder pads off, if you can. Come on. Let's go. All right, so in the first episode, Exodus, at one point, the mutants attack the Thundercats on their ship. And, well, that kind of looks a little goofy. So they did actually paint the neck all the way up to here, right? So if you wanted to, if you can get past that neck, some of the Jackal-men that attack the Thundercats on that ship don't have any kind of shoulder armor or anything like that, and they look like this. So if you want to, you could have him be one of them. I'm probably just going to display mine with the booster pack piece. He looks pretty awesome. Very, very cool. One thing, too, I forgot to mention is that, you know, in the cartoon, Jackal-man kind of has his eyebrows painted. You know, they're kind of like the lighter color that's around his eyes and, you know, on his fur. And unfortunately, the Super 7 version does not have the, you know, like, you have the lighter color around the eyes, but it still doesn't really capture that same kind of look of having the actual eyebrow colored yellow. It's a little tough with that one because even in the same episode, sometimes Jackal-man will have that, his eyebrows painted, and then other times it'll just be around, like an outline around his eyes. And, the Maddie figure didn't have that either. And that brings us to our Maddie collector comparison. So first off, let's start from the top and work our way down here. I like the paint on the eyes better on this guy because he's actually looking straight. On the Maddie one is always like looking up, which, is not cool. You don't want your guy always looking straight up above the other figures. Other than that, there was like a wash inside of here and on here that's a little darker than this. If anything, I don't know, these colors are brighter. The fur, the orange and the yellow are all brighter than this figure. The green on the fur loincloth, that looks very similar. The cheetah pattern, obviously there's a lot more to it on this one than this one. One of the big differences is that on the where the lighter fur is right here, you only have a straight line going up and down the chest. Here they actually try to make it like a little feathered so that it actually looks like kind of like fur. But if you wanted this to look more like the cartoon, I guess one thing you could say is in the cartoon, you just have a straight line going down Jackal-man's belly to separate the light from the darker color. Both Jackal-mans have the flipped shins and calves. However, on my Maddie one, I just noticed, like this one, even though this whole thing should be on this side, right? This part down here matches up to this piece. However, on this side, this part right here is like flipped, like it's put on backwards. So this should actually be like this. And the foot is now on the wrong side. Or, it's going the wrong direction. So, the Maddie one had more problems for me. The gripping hands look very similar, but there is a little bit of a difference. You can see, like, in this hand, I'm pretty sure they just use the same, like, the style of this hand looks exactly like the brand new Lion-O and Panthro hands, except now it has, like, fur on the back of it. This one looks more in line with the original Panthro and Lion-O hands. You can see more of a difference with the, like, this expressive or claw hand or bigger gripping hand, however you want to use this thing. This one on the left here is the Super7 one. It looks pretty well done. The proportions are very nice on it. The nails and the hands look, they look a little natural. This one is, the nails are a lot softer. And then if you look at the thumb on the nail, the nail on the thumb, it just looks like that nail wraps around the whole thumb. So the newer version is a lot better. So like I said, the new Super 7 comes with the exact same kind and number of hands that the Maddie figure did. They have regular gripping hands, one set of regular gripping hands, and one set of claw or bigger gripping hands. It's not like Lion-O or Panthro where they added in some extra hands, even though the Lion-O and Panthro hands, they don't really do much extra anyway. So the Ultimates Jackal-man also came with a second head, which I talked a little bit about before. And other than that one spot there where they didn't color that the light color paint, like I really like this face a lot. I think it looks awesome. Even the details in the teeth and inside the mouth and the eyes are all clean and sharp. They look good. So I think it looks awesome. I think, it really makes Jackal-man look very vicious, like he's gonna move in for the kill. The only thing is that, like I said, it does look cool, but this might be a little, maybe not be the best thing that people would be looking for with Jackal-man. Like I said, I think it's cool, and I could go either way, but, some people might want more of like a cunning or like deceptive kind of looking Jackal-man face, like something that looks like he's thinking of something evil, not necessarily like attacking. So the first weapon that Jackal-man has is this spiked club, and both look pretty cool. Now the thing is that with all right, so the Super 7 is on the left and the Matty one is on the right, right? The Super 7 one is a little darker brown. This is a little bit of a brighter brown. It actually makes this ring around the spike appear kind of shiny. Not to mention that there is also a darker wash on the Matty one. So if anything, the contrast is a little better on that one. It looks cool. This club does not show up in the cartoon, but you know, there are times when Jackal-man has used the club. It's just a little different. You know, one of the cool things about the Thundercats cartoons is that the mutants always like switch around what kind of weapons they're using. You know, sometimes Jackal-man might have an axe or a club or, you know, a gun or something else. Like, it's not always like you have to use the same thing in every single episode. And the reason why you have this club is because of the original toy. Okay, so up next you have Jackal-man's axe. Now, I'm going to try to do my best to show you the difference here because this is kind of hard to shoot for some reason. Like, I can't get the details to appear correctly. But, all right, so first off, let's start with the wood, right? The wood on this is a little bit of a brighter, more reddish brown, maybe like a cherry. On this one, it's darker, and you have a much darker wash on it. Up here, the gray is pretty similar, except this might be a little brighter. One of the bigger differences that I think the Matty one excels, or does better with, is the paint on the actual blade part. Like here, it's just a like a flat, shiny silver, like a metallic silver, right? So on the Matty one, you have that, but you also have like a dark gray, like brushed in, and it really makes it pop more. Like, I don't know, it looks very cool. So, you know, I think the Matty one is just a little better. Every now and then in the cartoon, Jackal-man, like I said, he uses an axe. I got this shot of Jackal-man with the axe in the episode Jackal-man's Rebellion. Okay, so first up, the new guns that this Jackal-man figure comes with that the Matty Classics one didn't have. You have this gun. This is the net gun. Now, this gun appears in the first episode, Exodus, and in that episode, Jackal-man uses it to catch Snarf in a net. But it shows up in other episodes too. It's just one of those weapons that's it kind of becomes a stock weapon for the mutants to carry around. And you know, here you can see that the version that Super 7 gave out first was too dark. You know, the colors were not correct. But then they gave us this new one with the booster pack, and if you look at it in the cartoon, it matches very similar. You know, it looks pretty good. I guess my only two notes would be that maybe the light blue is more of a gray in the cartoon, and that little grip area in the front is white and not the color of the barrel. So if you want Jackal-man to hold the net gun, it's actually pretty easy. You can use the bigger gripping hand here to try to make it appear like the finger's going into the trigger area, but lots of times it's just easier to kind of put it in the tighter gripping hand so that you get a nice grip on it, and then you can easily use the bigger gripping hand on this side so that you can, like, you know, have them grab. Oh, I got my thumb caught here. There you go. You can grab the front of it like that. Here's the first mutant gun that Jackal-man has, and you know, this is pretty cool. I like how you have the little two circles here. It's like a double blaster. But you know, this appears in the cartoon in a number of episodes, and it kind of serves two purposes. First, it's kind of like a, I don't know what you call it. Like, they use it to cut into the side of stuff. Like in the first episode, Exodus, one of the Scythe mutants uses it to cut through the side of the Thundercats ship so that the mutants can get on board and try to steal the Eye of Thundera. And it also shows up in the episode The Fireballs of Castle Plundar, whenever Monkeyan is trying to cut into a room where Tigra and Willa are hiding. And then later on in some episodes, it's kind of used as a regular blaster. It becomes just one of those stock weapons that the mutants always use. It's like, if they're going to have a gun, they have this gun, you know. And so it appears in the episode The Wolf Rat, and it also appears in the Micrits and a couple others. And uh, like the size of this thing kind of changes. Like sometimes it looks huge in their hands, and then other times it looks like a lot smaller. Now there are like two wings on the front of the cannon that are missing from this toy. And even though the size of this thing does change throughout the show, sometimes where it's big and sometimes where it's little, it's mostly always used with two hands. So you can get your, you can pose Jackal-man holding this with two hands, which is nice. Now, just like the net gun, this gun also did have a repaint, because this is how they advertised it originally, in this like purple and light purple color. But I think if anything, the original version that came with Jackal-man matches the look of the cartoon just a little more. Like this is possibly too bright, and I think that this dark color kind of fits this thing a little more. But also in the episode The Wolf Rat, it appears like this, where it's kind of bright, and sometimes they don't even draw the wings on it in this episode. So, I mean, you got options here, right? And now we have the second mutant gun, and I cannot tell you how much of a pain it was trying to find this in the cartoon. Like, there's one episode that I'll say what I think it is in a minute, but I wasn't 100% sure because the mutants never used this gun in the cartoon that I saw. So, if you've seen this in the cartoon and you know what episode they use it, please let me know, because otherwise, I don't think the mutants ever used it. So, where do you see this gun? Well, you see this gun in the episode Mumm-Ra. I think that's the 5th episode in the cartoon. And, like I said, the mutants don't use it. It's on the table in the Thundercats lair. Whenever Mumm-Ra is like going around the cat's lair trying to find the Eye of Thundera, he's snooping around and he's breaking their stuff. He comes across this gun on a table, and that's it. It's just there and it's gone. So I think that's where it is. Like I said, if you ever seen this gun in the cartoon anywhere, please let me know. I would love to know. And, of course, this was also repainted and given to you in the booster pack. And, again, I think that the darker color of this is more accurate to the look of the show. Like, this is cool, but it doesn't really appear purple like that in the cartoon. But, it's pretty cool having both, Who's gonna argue with more weapons? And that's Jackal-man. Like, is he perfect? No. Does he have faults? Yes. But he's still pretty cool. I like it. I like that he looks intimidating. He looks like a vicious foe for the Thundercats to fight, Obviously he doesn't have the cunning or the evil kind of grin or anything like that Jackal-man would have. But, it's just a cool figure. I guess, more than any of these other Thundercats figures, they were kind of going with a mix of original Thundercats and the second Thundercats. Kind of like how some Masters of the Universe Classics toys kind of combine, the original Masters of the Universe with the 2000X series. So before I go, let's take a quick look at the brand new Super 7 Jackal-man next to the original LJN Jackal-man. And wow, look how much this thing has progressed here and changed. It's cool. You still have like the same thing, like the fur loincloth, even the brighter color on the chest. He's got the shoulder pad, but look how different it is, and how less detailed. He's even got the cheetah arm cover on that side. But just in general, it looks so much nicer. I can't even get him to stand. This guy, the LJN one stands very awkwardly. Like his legs are like too close together. Not to mention this one's a little warped. Come on. The face on this old one does not look like Jackal-man at all. Like, it doesn't look like I guess maybe if it was colored more similar to the cartoon, maybe it would trick me a little more, but I don't know. This new one, the details in it look so much like the cartoon. Obviously there's some things that are a little expanded upon or something like that, but in general, the face looks really good. Like, you look at this and you're like, oh yeah, that's Jackal-man, all right. And man, I cannot wait to get the other mutants to have them stand in front of Mumm-Ra like he summoned them to have them attack the Thundercats with some evil plan. And so, thanks for watching, and let me know what you think. At this point in time, I'm really, really looking forward to Wave 2, 3, and 4, and I can't wait to see 5 and 6, and man, I'm pretty excited about what the future may hold, and hopefully we'll start to get something soon because, we're in March now. We're past Chinese New Year, so we don't have to worry about, them taking a break over there in the factory. Hopefully now we can start getting things moving, and man, can't wait. So talk to you later.